In this video, I'm going to be looking at a game from Avalon Hill Game Company called Stonewall in the Valley. This is a Joseph Balkowski game. It is Great Campaigns of the American Civil War, which is an exceptional system, and Multiman Publishing is carrying on the tradition with this game. And so I'm going to be looking at a scenario. It's scenario 4 in this game. It's called Cross Keys and Port Republic. So these are two important battles in 1862, and they both come up in this scenario because this is like an operational campaign level game. So that's basically where we're gonna start with this game. It's only 6 turns long. Each turn is a day, and we're only using, the south map. So it's an easy scenario to set up and get into. So that's what we're going to do. There are a few special rules. I might consider those when we go down to the map. So stay tuned. So in looking at the maps here, just with a little bit of an overview, the Union is basically split up into 2 forces on either side of the Shenandoah River. So on the left side, you have General Fremont, and he's got a fairly large force that's driving down, and his objective is to get into Cross Keys and then Port Republic, and then if he can get across there, to capture Lewiston, and also the mill down there. On the right side of the river, you have General Shields, and he's got contingencies up there, but they're kind of waylaid and they've got a roll for activation. So this is basically going to be luck as to when they can start moving and participating. So if the Union gets lucky, they will start marching sooner rather than later. One of the caveats in this battle is that it has been raining for quite a while, so the roads are all muddy, which is going to make movement prohibitive. And then the fords can't be used. The river is so high that none of these fords are crossable, and basically all the bridges are destroyed except the bridge at Port Republic. So the Union forces are going to be divided pretty much this whole battle. And what's going to be happening here is I'm going to try to protect these victory points, these objectives on the right side of the river by having Jackson move back into Port Republic and cross over to get into Lewiston and that area. And meanwhile, I'm going to have Ewell stay on the left side of the river, and he's going to try to defend Cross Keys in that area to keep Fremont out of Port Republic. So that's basically what we're going to see happening here. And looking into turn 1, it's June 6th. And now basically what you're going to see here is Fremont has started marching toward Cross Keys. So you've got the 4th New York Cavalry, which is holding the Union right at Dunkard Church. And then you've got Colonel Clusseret has actually moved into Harrisburg. There really wasn't a fight here because the rebels retreated out of there, opting to set up a little bit better contiguous defensive positions. Then the 1st New Jersey Cavalry is actually holding the Union left, anchored right off the mountains there. So Fremont has a strong position flanked by 2 cavalry marching down through this area, getting ready to face Ewell, who is going to defend the area around Cross Keys. Meanwhile, Jackson has crossed the river at Port Republic, and Tyler and Tolliver have advanced on the banks of the Shenandoah River, planning to meet Shields whenever he gets there. The Stonewall Brigade moved into Lewiston, and General Jackson himself is in Port Republic with the Patton Brigade. Meanwhile, Trimble is at Cross Keys. Ashby's cavalry is holding a flank at Dayton, and then you've got Ewell near Chestnut Ridge on the left side, and then you've got Elsie's brigade on the right side of Chestnut Ridge. And Chestnut Ridge is kind of holding a center position for them with the terrain. But that's basically what happened during turn one. Shields did get released, and so he was able to get to the Elk Run Church amazingly with very good movement die rolls. General Tyler and Colonel Carroll's brigades are with him, and the New York Cavalry, the 1st New York Cavalry, has moved to the South Fork and is kind of scouting out everything ahead. So that's what shakes down on June 6th of 1862. Okay, well, on June 7th, what ended up happening is the Confederates got the initiative, and Jackson led Tyler and Tolliver's brigades into the South Fork on the right side of the Shenandoah River, and they encountered the 1st New York Cavalry, and the cavalry elected to retreat, which it did successfully. And then Jackson ended up continuing his movement. Then the Union had General Shields continue to march to South Fork, and he decided to assault Jackson, which I don't think was a very good idea. But anyway, the battle kind of devolved into a stalemate, but the Federals lost some manpower here. And they ended up making a second attack, and they lost some more manpower. So they're really not getting anywhere, and Jackson's just stopping these guys. Then I had the Fremont's forces just continued to try to get into a position to deal with Ewell on the left side of the Shenandoah, heading in toward the area of Cross Keys. So that's pretty much all that happened on June 7th. I mean, one of the things hurting things are the muddy roads, obviously, and the inability to cross the Shenandoah anywhere. So the Union has to fight with split forces, and the Confederates really have interior lines, I think. So that's the end of June 7th, 1862. So going to June 8th, the Union fails the die roll to release Kimball and Ferry, so this Shields kind of on his own, dealing with General Jackson on the right side of the Shenandoah. He's just got his 2 brigades with him and a cavalry. So anyway, General Jackson decides to fall back at 2 Mile Run. Then Fremont ends up making an attack against Elsie's brigade at Taylor Spring. And this is just a disaster for the Confederates. And this brigade is basically routed, and it gets driven. And Fremont manages to capture Taylor's Spring. Then the Confederates had Ewell fall back to Dunkard Church, and then Ewell fell back even further to Wenzel's Church. Meanwhile, the Union had Boland's brigade move into Kieseltown, and then Fremont decided to attack the 2-6 Virginia Cavalry at Peel's Crossroad. And I attempted to retreat the cavalry, but they ended up kind of dispersing into the horizon, so I don't know if we're going to see them again. Then Fremont moved into Boken Mill, and Boland into Peel's Crossroads. Also, I had the 1st New Jersey Cavalry move to Roadbush Mill. Then on the other side of the Shenandoah, on the right side, Shields is up there against Jackson, and I decided to just dive right in with him and attack Jackson head on. And this went extremely well for Shields. And Jackson ended up taking some heavy losses and being routed, and he had to fall back toward Port Republic. So the Union was able to capture the area around the South Fork. So that's basically what happened on June 8th of 1862. But time is running out, and the Union doesn't have the victory locations yet. So on June 9th, the Confederate cavalry, Ashby's cavalry, falls back to Bridgewater. Then the Union goes on the attack. Fremont hits Ewell very hard at Wenzel Church. This is a disaster for Ewell, and he ends up routing. And then Fremont continues to Frieden's Church and attacks Trimble there. This does not go well for the Confederates either, and Trimble also falls back toward Port Republic, and Fremont captures Cross Keys. So the Battle of Cross Keys settled just like that. Then Shield was able to move south and engage Jackson near Iron Ore, and Jackson is defeated again and ends up having to fall back to Lewiston. Then Fremont attacks Elsie. Elsie is down to nothing from the battle yesterday, and he is completely wiped out. So that doesn't go well. I should have mentioned in the meantime, the Union's units were able to activate. I think it's Ferry and one other unit, and I've forgotten who. But they're stuck way out of action, and it's because of the muddy roads. It's going to take a while. So we might end up seeing them eventually. So that brings June 9th to a close. The big news on June 10th is that the waters finally subsided and things are drying out. The fords are all crossable now. So that does change the dynamics, but I think things are already in motion here. So General Ewell ended up falling back into Port Republic across the bridge. Because of all the fords being open, there's no sense of destroying the bridge, I don't think. Then Jackson concentrates his forces on the eastern side of the Shenandoah River, trying to hold the Union back as long as possible. Then General Fremont consolidates as much of his Union forces on the left side of the Shenandoah to attack Port Republic. He has a very good odds ratio here and ends up capturing Port Republic and causing Ewell to have to fall back. At this point, the Union is in very good shape with the ratio of manpower points. They have lost a lot less than the Confederates. Plus now they have Port Republic, and on this last turn, there is a chance that they get Lewiston or the Mount Vernon Furnace. That's the real prize. I think that's worth 6 victory points. Anyway, that brings June 10th to a close. So on June 11th, this is the last turn of the game, Fremont attacked Ewell again. Ewell's defending behind Madison Run, which gave him a little bit of an advantage, but the battle did not go well this time for Fremont. His luck completely ran out here. And Ewell basically wins a tactical victory. He doesn't take any losses. The Union takes some losses. And everything else I tried to get together here for the Union didn't make any sense. The Confederate didn't want to risk any more losses, manpower losses. They had control of Lewiston. They have control of the Mount Vernon Furnace. And so these are some key victory points for the Union. So the Union ended up, they got Cross Keys. That doesn't really count for victory points. It was just needed to get through the defensive position. But they got Port Republic for 3 victory points. So in the end, with the pluses and minuses, the Confederates lost 10 manpower. The Union lost 6, I believe. And then the Union did capture Port Republic for 3. So the total was a +7 for the Union. It was barely a substantive victory. If it would have been 1 point less, if I could have saved 1 manpower as a Confederate, it would have just gone down to a marginal victory. But it didn't in this case. So, however, Ewell and Stonewall Jackson are gonna, fall back, no doubt, and regroup somewhere else. This battle's over. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a great day.